This godless communism. Lenin's Bolsheviks had gained the aid of an army of rioters who knew little, if anything, about the sinful ideas of communism. Now they were about to capture Petrograd, the capital of old Russia. The rioters overwhelmed a small group of defenders around the government buildings. They burst in on the government's representatives. "Take them all prisoner! We will hold them in the city fortress!" The capital of Russia now belonged to Lenin. He and his close followers believed in no God, but rather a heaven on earth to be brought about by tricking people into supporting a communist dictatorship with no regard for any kind of law. A Bolshevik uprising also took place in Moscow. Hundreds were killed in week-long fighting before the Reds gained control and made Moscow the new capital. When the initial fighting was over, "Now I can come out of hiding and take command of Russia. The ideas of Marx will now come alive." He set up a new government. "I am now head of the new government. Comrade Trotsky, you and Comrade Stalin will be two of my chief assistants. First, we must stop the war between Russia and Germany. Our agents have gained control of most of the army. Now we can use the army to enforce our control." A few months later, extra, Russians signed separate peace with Germany, allies to fight on without them, extra. Trotsky was put in charge of the army. "It's up to you to mold the new army into a group of fighters who will defend the Bolshevik government. If you do not, you will be shot." Meanwhile, Lenin established a secret police force called Cheka. "It will be up to you to search out those who disagree with us and dispose of them by whatever means necessary. Some of you will work in the army, others among the people." Private property was abolished. "Daddy, why are they taking our crops?" "They say the land now belongs to the state, and they can do with it what they wish." Those who resisted were dealt with by the Cheka. In a matter of months, thousands of good people were murdered. Lenin made many promises to the people. Lenin says in the government newspaper that any state within Russia that wants to secede can do so. Then you can be sure that Ukraine will. But he only kept those promises which served his aims. "So Ukraine has decided to secede, eh? You know what to do. Order the Red Army to smash them." Teaching religion in the schools was abolished. "We have news for you, students. You will no longer study religion. Since God does not exist, there is no need for it." Churches were closed. "These vessels are pure gold. They'll bring a high price. Now they can be used to worship the real God, communism." Nor was the final aim of communism forgotten. "Our strength is growing in Russia. Yes, comrade, but we must remember that we will never be wholly successful until our control is spread all over the globe." A red group called the Comintern was formed. "You will head this group, Comrade Zinoviev. Its purpose will be to spread communism in foreign lands by any means necessary. Communist parties are springing up all over the world. I will see that they take orders from us." Zinoviev's men began their journeys to foreign lands. "I am leaving for France tomorrow. I have instructions to carry to communist headquarters in Paris. I'm bound for Canada. I'm supposed to spread communist ideas among the labor leaders there." The United States was also on the list. "Welcome to Chicago. I have special orders from Moscow to take charge of communists here and train them to overthrow democracy." All over the earth, a network of communist parties was developed under Moscow's direction. Members were trained to overthrow the governments of the countries in which they lived by any means, including murder. Meanwhile, the new Red Army in Russia was opposed by anti-communist Russians, who became known as the White Army. But, after 2 years of fighting, the White Armies have been destroyed, Comrade Lenin. They had poor strategy and no supplies. I am surprised they lasted as long as they did. When the Reds took over Russia, they promised the people land and bread. But by 1922, more than 22,000 Russians have starved to death this month. Thank God for the help of the Americans are sending us. If it weren't for them, things would be worse. The government said it would give us land, but none of the land is ours at all. It is the government's. If it were ours, you can be sure we wouldn't be starving. At Lenin's Moscow headquarters, things aren't looking as expected. There have been some revolts already. I must do something before the people rise up against me. A short time later, a new economic policy will begin immediately and continue until we have better control of the people. Henceforward, a small amount of private property will be allowed. Thus, Lenin admitted that the first communist experiment was a failure. We are heavily taxed, but at least we are allowed to own something now and to sell it. But we still have no freedom. The dictatorship and terror of communism still remained. Thousands who opposed communism were shot. Hundreds of thousands were imprisoned.
Ready! Aim! Fire!
Late in 1922, Comrade Lenin is seriously ill. If he should die, who would take his place? There will be a fight, and I, Joseph Stalin, will win it. January 21st, 1924. Comrade Stalin, Lenin has just died. In a government such as ours, there is no provision for the next leader. I must make sure that I win the battle. Lenin was entombed in Red Square, Moscow. By this time, communism had become much like a religion, without God. Its first hero can still be seen in his glass coffin in Moscow. To be continued in the next installment of This Godless Communism.